What I mean, Pike and Neil. I mean, the diversity there. They're worlds apart. Obviously you can see that. No, they are very similar. I think actually from watching a lot of the original sitcom, once I got cast as Pike, I watched a lot of Dad's Army, and there were moments where I was just like, I basically did that exact face for Neil at a point in time that it was a similar scenario. I think that Pike is probably slightly softer. As much as Neil has this kind of soft side to him and he wants all the mates to be together and stuff, Neil's kind of ignorance and sense of humour is that he quite likes it when his mates fail at times. It's a good bit of banter, and he finds that quite funny at times. Whereas I think Pike is a bit softer, and because of probably the time that he grew up in as well, has probably a more romanticised idea of what the world should be and what his position in the world should be and how women should be treated in particular. And but I think that Neil would see an opportunity to get with a girl and just take it and not really think about the negatives of that or what the rights and wrongs of that are. Not because he's a bad guy, but just because it just doesn't feature in his brain at all. Whereas I think Pike has more of a moral compass, and if similar situations were to have presented themselves, he either would have been a bit more nervous or would have just thought, what's the right thing to, what would Errol Flynn do in this situation is probably what he would think, and he would always try and do the right thing, whereas I think Neil would just think, oh, if it feels good, just do it, because that's what you do, isn't it? Whereas Pike, I think, is a lot more, would think more about his actions, I think. I can't feel totally like he's in the past, because it's repeated so often on like E4 and stuff. And people were constantly saying that they like it, and they send me a tweet. So I just rewatched The Inbetweeners. I love it. So I don't feel like it's completely in my past. It's always kind of there. But having said that, I can't imagine that we'll be doing any more. And in terms of playing that character again and working with those lads in that same capacity again, that I would think is in the past. I'm 99% sure that is all in the past. But every job that I do, you could probably say that, well, if I didn't, because when I got the Inbetweeners, I didn't even have an agent. So getting the Inbetweeners got me an agent, which gets me other jobs, and those jobs lead on to more jobs and all that kind of stuff. So there's always going to be a part of me, probably, even when I'm in my 70s or whatever, and hopefully still acting, that probably goes, oh yeah, well, I mean, if it wasn't for the Inbetweeners, I probably wouldn't be here now. So it'll always be with me in a sense.